Okay, hi second graders. Here I am at my stream. It's a beautiful day, unlike the rainy day I had the last time I was out. My daughter Kira is filming for me, so the quality of this film should be so much better than the last one. And I'd like to show you the materials that I have on the bank here. So Kira, can you pan across these materials? I've got my field sheet here on my clipboard, my basin. This is something I forgot to put on my list of supplies, just a container for scooping up water to pour. So that's a nice thing to have. We have a screen from the kitchen and an aquarium net, which is actually a better tool to use for this purpose because it has a flat bottom, so you can get it right down onto the bottom of the stream. We also have some resources here that you will want to bring out with you. Whoops. This is the one you use to think about habitats in a stream or a pond, on the surface, beneath the surface, and down in the rocks and detritus. And detritus, by the way, is just a fancy word for dead organic material that's decomposing like this. And also waste products from animals and plants. We have the coloring book that you guys worked on, and we have this children's guide to aquatic insects. Okay, now we're going to put some water into the basin and get things ready to go. Remember that these aquatic water bugs need to stay in water because most of them have gills like fish and they can't breathe out of the water. Some of them do have lungs like we do, but they prefer to be in the water where they feel safer. So, get some water here. Put about 2 inches or a little less in the basin. Remember that a white basin is good to use because most of the bugs are dark. And so the dark bugs show up nicely on the white basin bottom. Okay, Tessie and I, this is Tessie, remember her, my field assistant. We're going to show you how to catch some bugs in a flowing body of water like a stream. So the first thing we do is get the dog out of the water. Come on, Tess. Okay, you stay on the bank here. And then because the water is flowing in this direction, what I'll do is put my net down below the place where I want to disturb the bottom of the stream. And then I'll disturb the bottom, move the rocks and things. And then the water might pick up loose bugs and put them into my net. That's one technique you can use. So I'm going to put the net in the water, disturb some rocks above the net, upstream of the net. Really do some disturbing of the stream bed here because the bugs live under the rocks, on top of the rocks, and in the gravel on the bottom. And then I get up and I look through my net to look for movement. Oh, and I see some bugs right here. There's one right there. There's another. Oh, there's another one right there. So now I'm going to put my debris in my basin. If I put too much debris in the basin, it may be hard to find the bugs, but here it's sort of, in this situation, it's kind of hard to separate the bugs from the debris. So I'm going to put everything in and I'll see what comes out of the debris. And you can see there's some movement here. Oops, where'd he go? Or she, right here, crawling onto my finger. There was another one in here that I saw. So you'll want to use your net several times to get several scoops of stuff from the bottom. If you have plants in your stream, you can swoop your net through the plants. You can see that I don't have any plants here because this is a stream that is mostly rocky. So I'll do that technique several times and come back and look for movement in my net and put anything that is moving into the basin. Okay, so now I've basically cleaned the debris out of the bottom of my basin. And the way I did that was by filling this with some water, so it is good to have a second container, putting the bugs that I could in here, dumping out the debris, and then putting the bugs back in the basin so I can look at them in a bigger space. So you can see here there's some variety in the basin. Some of them are big and some of them are really tiny. You will find little teeny tiny ones if you have the good eyesight for that. So your goal basically is to count the number of different kinds that you see here and tally them up on your field sheet. And then to choose 2 bugs that you find really interesting and do a profile of each bug. A couple of things to note: the bugs that you find in flowing waters are benthic, which means they're bottom dwelling. They like to cling on the bottom or hide under things, so you'll see in this case we have several bugs in here. Whoops, there's one on my finger right there. It's clinging to my finger because it wants to cling to something. This one is this sort of long, tan, worm-like thing is a crane fly larva, and it's attached to a bunch of debris that also includes this green caddisfly larva in here. And there's some mayflies in there, so you will often find them sort of clinging to each other if they don't have something else to cling to in the basin. Okay, one more technique I want to show you at the stream, and that is to go into the stream and just simply pick up rocks and turn them over, because a lot of these guys are living under the rocks, and so you can find them with that technique as well. So I'll find a place where the water is really kind of flowing along, where there's lots of oxygen for these guys who live in the water, and I'll pick up a rock, turn it over, and I look for movement like this. And I'm also, whoops, there's another one here. And I'm also seeing some caddisfly cases, these little bundles of rocks that the caddisflies gather and stick together with sort of a silk-like glue that they spin from their mouth. And then they adhere themselves, they stick themselves to the rock. So you can see all these little caddisfly cases here. And if you pull one off and kind of look inside, you'll find a little larva in there. There's a stonefly crawling along the crevices of the rock. So again, this is another way to find the bugs. It's harder to get them off the rock when you pick it up and look at the bottom. But you can certainly see a lot of critters that way. Okay, let's do one more rock. Find a good one here. Oh, that's not a great rock, but again, you can see some little crawlers and some little tiny ones like these. So these rocks are literally crawling with life. Another one there. Okay, here we are at Stella's pond. This is Stella over here, Tessie's good friend. And this is a great pond to look for water bugs in. As you can see, it's human-made. Somebody banked up the soil on this side to create a dam. And there's a little inlet over here and an outlet at that end. Over time, nature will claim this pond and things will move in, and it will become a naturally functioning ecosystem if people allow it to be so. So what I'd like to do is show you some ways in which to catch bugs, some places to look for bugs, and then we'll show you what we have caught. So on your field sheet it talks about looking for different kinds of habitats and the bugs that may live there. So there's a surface habitat. The surface film is a place where some bugs sort of skate around on the top, and with the dogs here today, it's possible that all the skaters are out farther into the water, deeper water. You can also sweep your net through the water, sort of, between the surface and the bottom, and then sweep your net through the plants along the edge here where Stella is, and also sweep your net along the bottom, because in each of those habitats you can find different kinds of water bugs. So again, your field sheet talks about on the surface, beneath the surface, in the plants, and on the bottom. Usually in a stream you're looking for bugs along the bottom, because with that flowing water they have to hold on to something. In the pond, the conditions are pretty gentle and they can live in different kinds of habitats. So for the surface habitat, just go in as quietly as possible and scoop along the surface to see what we might find. You can also go a little bit deeper and scoop through the water beneath the surface. If I can get Stella to move a little bit. Oh, I just caught one here. A couple actually, lively back swimmers. We can also swoop through the vegetation like this. Watch out, Stella. I got a big fat tadpole. Oh, and a diving beetle. Oh, interesting. There's the diving beetle. There's the big fat tadpole. And some more back swimmers. Oh, and a snail as well. So let me put this diving beetle in my basin, because I hadn't caught this before. Come on, you. Oh, oh dear. He just jumped into the grass. Well, hopefully he'll make his way back to the water. Okay. And then the other thing we can do, of course, is look along the bottom here, where in this pond there are lots of leaves and stuff, lots of detritus, where things can live. Now you can see that I've come up with a whole lot of mud here. And so I'll let the water drain through the mud, look for movement in the mud, and see if I have any bugs in here. And there's something moving right in there. It's sort of covered with mud now, but that is a critter that I can put in my basin. And then there's another one here. And if I look a little farther, I'm sure I'll find some more. Okay, so let's just do a quick pan of what I have in the basin here. So as you can see, I've been catching bugs for a little while. There's a lot of activity in here. We've got the back swimmers here, big dragonfly nymph right here, and actually several. There's a long skinny one, some little fatter ones. We have some mayflies, some with long gills right here. Another mayfly, and then some caddisflies in cases. So this is a caddisfly case with a critter that lives inside the hollow opening, and it's pulled way in because it's scared that I'm going to eat it. Here's another caddisfly case here. Again, hollow in the center, and the critter lives inside. Baby dragonfly right here. And we also have a vertebrate critter that I caught. Remember that the water bugs are macroinvertebrates. Invertebrate means no backbone. Vertebrate means there is a backbone, like us. So we have a backbone, this little tadpole has a backbone, fish have a backbone. The water bugs do not have a spine or a backbone. Oh, here's the caddisfly larva that's popped its head out of the case with its legs, and it's pulling its case around. So here's your field sheet for your water bug study. You can see that there's the same list of supplies that you've seen before in the pre-fieldwork sheet. Information about your study site, the date, the time, whether you went out in the morning or the afternoon, the name of your adult helper, and your town and the road where your study site is. And then please check stream or pond, depending on where you are. Again, the process for collecting water bugs is as follows. Put your fieldwork sheet on your clipboard and get a pencil so you're ready to write. Put your white basin on a flat spot on the shore. Put about 2 inches of water in your basin, and use your net to explore each of the habitats in the table below. And again, the habitats are the surface of the water, plants in the water if you're in a pond environment. Usually streams don't have plants in the water, but you may find a slower section of a stream that does have plants. Look beneath the surface, also in the rocks and the detritus on the bottom. Okay, so once you've caught some water bugs, you put them in your basin and you tally the different kinds of water bugs that you catch. So here's a column for tallying the number that you catch. So this is an example. I'm going to imagine that I was sampling the surface of the water and I found 3 kinds of water bugs. So I did 3 hatch marks, 1 for each kind. Down in the rocks and debris, as an example, in this case I'm going to imagine I found 5 different kinds of water bugs. So 4 hatch marks and 1 across the whole batch of hatch marks means that I have indicated 5. So this table below is for you to keep track of the number of water bugs that you caught. And then after you've tallied your water bugs, choose 2 water bugs to study and complete the boxes on the next pages. So for the first water bug that you chose, you check the box next to the habitat where you found it. Again, we have these 4 habitats we're looking at. I'd like you to draw your first water bug using some of the anatomy features that we had talked about previously, numbers of legs and tails and antenna and eyes and parts of the water bug and things like that. Also indicate how long your first water bug was. On this dotted line, you can indicate how long it was by drawing along this dotted line to show the length of your water bug. So some of my larger water bugs, like the big dragonfly, was probably about that long. And then check off all of the boxes below that indicate how it moved. Does it swim? Does it wiggle? Does it crawl? Does it skate on the surface? Does it hang down from the surface like a mosquito larva? Or maybe it doesn't move at all. Maybe it's stuck in place, like the caddisflies that made stone cases that glued them to the rocks in the stream. And answer 2 questions at the end. What is one thing you like about your first water bug? And what is one question you have about your first water bug? And then you go through this process again with your second water bug. So here's your second water bug box. Same questions as the first water bug. Okay, second graders, I look forward to seeing what you come up with for your fieldwork results, what kinds of water bugs you find, what the conditions are at your stream or your pond. And one of the questions you'll find on your fieldwork sheet is about questions. I hope that you're left with some questions about things that you're curious about. Maybe your teacher can send me those questions and we can have a little dialogue about that, or maybe in your further studies of ponds and streams you'll be able to find some answers to your own questions. Okay, well, take care everyone, be safe on your fieldwork, and I'll see you at the end of the study.